gives each minute $3 million to military expenses. $3 million per minute for military expenses, for the industry of death. And each minute, 15 children die from hunger or curable diseases. So we'll march against it because we believe another world is possible.
We're talking to Eduardo Galeano, and we're going to be back with him in a minute.
Sembraré las palabras que mi padre Martín Fierro puso al viento. Cuando tenga la tierra, la tendrán los que luchan, los maestros, los hacheros, los obreros. Cuando tenga la tierra, te lo juro, semilla, que la vida será un dulce racimo y en el mar de las uvas nuestro vino. Daré a las estrellas, astronauta de trigales, luna nueva. Cuando tenga la tierra, formaré con los grillos una orquesta donde cante los que piensan. Gracias, Nando. Cuando tenga la tierra, te lo juro, semilla.
Mercedes Sosa singing Cuando Tenga la Tierra, performing at the Central American Peace Concert in 1983 in Managua, Nicaragua. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Our guest for the hour is the great writer Eduardo Galeano. His most celebrated book, decades ago, Open Veins of Latin America. President Chavez of Venezuela just gave it to Barack Obama. Well, he's out with a new book, and it's called Mirrors, Stories of Almost Everyone. And he doesn't come to this country very much, so we're very glad to have him in our studio for the hour. Juan?
Eduardo, I'd like to ask you, our show yesterday was about President Obama's nomination of Sonia Sotomayor to the U.S. Supreme Court, born of here in the United States of Puerto Rican parents. And I know you have, over the years, expressed yourself on the status of Puerto Rico itself. I think 2007 you joined with Garcia Marquez and other Latin American writers calling for Puerto Rico's sovereignty. Could you let our listeners and viewers know how, in Latin America, this relationship of Puerto Rico and the United States is viewed?
It's viewed, yes, as a colonial remain. A shameful situation because Puerto Rico should be independent, obviously, as Guantanamo should be part of Cuba instead of being a colonial enclave consecrated to torture people. Obviously, yes. These are remains of all past times. And the worst thing about this is that there are so many people everywhere trying to accept these situations like normal, and they are not normal at all. So I'm friend of these stubborn, marvelous Puerto Rican people, women, men, that are still fight for the right to freedom and independence. They are a minority of minorities, I know, but this is something to speak for them, not against. Because it's very easy to be on the side of the majorities. The problem is when you are telling the truth and you are almost alone. That's the situation of so many valuable persons and movements in the world. And we are prisoners of a dominant culture who punished the failure and is always rewarding success and obliging each one to be successful. We are trained to consider the other one as a competitor, as a menace, as an enemy, not as a promise. The world is very well designed to change.
Can you talk about the state of Latin America today, and particularly about the media in Latin America? I mean, you were the editor of a crisis magazine.
Yes.
It was censored. You decided the magazine should not publish in a time of censorship.
Yeah, I was working for several magazines and newspapers, and this crisis was a very nice experience. It was a cultural magazine consecrated to cultural subjects, items.
In Argentina?
In Argentina, when I was in exile. Once a month. A very, very beautiful magazine who sold about 35,000, 40,000 copies, which is a record in Spanish language, because we could diffuse a new conception of culture. Instead of repeating the old story about culture being the specialized work of artists and perhaps scientists, we tried to recover culture as a collective expression of identity. And so we were talking to people, but also hearing what people had to say. In the walls, through the graffitis, in the factories. We went with recorders trying to ask what they thought. For instance, the workers thought about the sun, because we were speaking to workers that never saw the sun except on sun days. They were working the whole day. Or to the drivers, the bus drivers, who sometimes were working in Argentina that years, 15, 20 hours per day. It was unbelievable. So with our records, registered, no, grabadores,
Tape
recorders. We went there asking them, when you can sleep, what do you dream? What are your dreams? Do you have dreams, nightmares? And this was culture for us also. So it was quite an original experience, really strange. And it was very, very successful till first the economy and later the dictatorship finished it. And when words cannot be better than silence, it's better to shut up.
But now there is, in many Latin American countries, you have on the one hand the huge media giants, Global Vision, Benevisión, and these others, but you're also to have all this community media. Now, I think in Uruguay in 2007, they passed La Ley de Radiodifusión Comunitaria for community media. What is the impact of these community media operations now on the people?
Now it improved a lot because community radios and even TV had been prosecuted and chased and prohibited during years and years and years. But now it's spreading all over the region, and they are very successful, and they can tell the other side of, like democracy now.